So I want to start with something that is not done quite often in many spaces, and that is to acknowledge the land that we are meeting on in North Carolina in particular. So I first want to acknowledge the ancestral lands that we are meeting on, the land of the Tuscarora, the Shakuri, the Occaneechi, and we honor America's first people and all elders, past, present, and emerging. And we are called on to share and learn what we share about tribal history, cultures, contributions that have been suppressed in telling the story of America. So first, I want you to ask yourself this question. I want you to think about, when did you have your first Black, Indigenous, person of color teacher? I want you to ask yourself that question. Was it elementary school? Was it middle school? Was it high school, college, or not yet? Because the learning process is ongoing. It's not something that you stop wherever high school, college. Now, I want you to take a minute and think about that. Now, I want you to take a moment to think about, when was the first time you had your first anti-racist teacher? Because let's be clear, there is indeed a difference. So when is the first time you had your first anti-racist teacher? Was that elementary school, middle school, high school, college, or again, maybe not yet? Because again, the learning process is ongoing. That means professional development, that could be trade school, etc. So I want you to think about that. And maybe while you're thinking, the name of that educator pops in your mind too. So when we think about these things, it's important to remember that there is a difference between someone being a person of color and being anti-racist, because we're looking at people who are allies and we're looking at people who are co-conspirators. In this work, education is not neutral. We have to be completely honest and telling the truth, teaching the truth, but not just telling it and sharing it. We have to actually believe that within ourselves, because it means absolutely nothing if you're just giving lip service, but if you actually know and believe what you're teaching yourself. So we want to make sure that while we're talking about decolonizing curriculum and abolitionist teaching, this is more than just about books. Books are important because representation matters. We understand that books are to be windows, mirrors, and sliding doors that our students can step into. And not just our students, but we as educators, we as adults. Dr. Bettina Love gives an incredible example of showing up as an ally and a co-conspirator. Because when we talk about, and I want to be very clear, when we talk about being an ally or co-conspirator, that's very important when we talk about decolonizing curriculum and abolitionist teaching, because you have to have the support from administration in order to feel truly liberated to do this kind of teaching, because we're dismantling myths. We're taking away the centering of Eurocentric curriculum, and we're teaching something that might not be normal. And really, it not just might not be, it isn't normal. Because what has historically happened is we're teaching things that are from just one perspective. And so in order to do that, having solid support from an administration that really believes that we need to center the narrative of people who have historically been marginalized. And so Dr. Bettina Love, I mentioned that just a few minutes ago, she gave this great example of Bree Newsome Bass. And I want to say it was about 2015. Bree Newsome Bass gave her heart to give an example. So I want to say again, it was 2015. There were some Black church members in Charleston, South Carolina at Mother Emanuel Church. They were doing as most church members do, going to church to do whatever it was they needed to do. And a young man came in there and killed all of those church members. And Bree Newsome Bass was very, very, very motivated that she was going to show up to take this Confederate flag down, because she felt like, and a lot of people agree with her, that was something that needed to be shown as a way that we speak against these things that tear down our world. There was a white man that came with her. Bree had all of her equipment to climb that flagpole in South Carolina that day, and she climbed that flagpole, grabbed it, and I don't remember exactly what she said, but she had that flagpole, was ready to take it down. As the police were ready to come towards her, this white man came and he put his hand on that pole because he said if he put his hand there, that meant that the police would they wouldn't tase him as a white man. And so they stepped back. That in that moment, he used his privilege. He didn't show up as just an ally who gave lip service and knew all the lingo, as Dr. Bettina Love says. You know all the lingo, you know all the books, and can tell you all the ways that you can dismantle white supremacy and stop and end racism. But he showed up as a co-conspirator in that moment because he understood that I have to put something on the line in order to show that we have systems that are in place that are going to continue and further systemic oppression. But it's my job to show up, to step up in any space that I have the opportunity and dismantle it. And that is the difference between an ally and a co-conspirator. I said all of that to say that in order to truly be an abolitionist teacher, an abolitionist educator, you have to have people who are in leadership above you that believe that they have to be a co-conspirator and not just a leadership at the school level, but leadership at the central office level or the district level that believe that this is important. Our students cannot learn until they understand that the people who are teaching them believe that the truth matters. The truth is something that we have to stand by and we have no choice. So what are ways that we give educators the freedom, the autonomy to have these tough conversations, to write this curriculum? One, there is no big box curriculum that's going to talk about dismantling white supremacy. There is no big box curriculum that's going to talk about Cesar Chavez, and there is no big box curriculum that talks about Fannie Lou Hamer because she wasn't go through a formal teacher education program to become a teacher. She was indeed a teacher. And if you know, you know. But you have people like Fannie Lou Hamer, Septima Clark, who changed the game. They really were some people who, personally, my teacher heroes. And how do you empower those teachers to be greats like them so that years later, we're still remembering that? Septima Clark, founder of Freedom Schools, that reminds us, that is the example. So how do you empower someone to be that person that years later we're still talking about Septima Clark? You give them space to teach. You give them professional development, protect their time. Don't give them we gotta focus, we gotta get them ready for this test. Yeah, but that's not exactly what our kids want to know. They have questions. They want to know I don't understand. What is this undocumented? I don't understand what that means. What is deportation? What is gentrification? They don't understand what's happening, and they're looking for the people who they spend the most time with to help them figure this out. But it's not in a curriculum. It's not in Unit 2, Lesson 1. It's not there. And so it's up to us to work in a community to have something that teaches our kids, because they have questions. They really do. And they want us to help their minds navigate this, because when we give them the autonomy to ask the questions that are truly on their mind, we will be able to go and move into some totally different reimagining of this world that we live in, because they are going to eventually, we're going to retire. I know I'm going to retire. And they're going to have to pick up where we left off. And we want them to not just pick up where we left off and continue what has historically been happening in our schools, but we want them to reimagine their possibilities. I always tell Mrs. Parker's professors, because you know I'm always do a plug for my babies. I always tell Mrs. Parker's professors that you cannot be what you cannot see. And so it is my job to help you reimagine your possibilities. In this world, you have control of what you want to be, who you want to see, how you want to see them, what you want to happen. You just got to do it and bring people along with you, because you can't do this by yourself. Because as my girl, I call her my fake auntie, as Fannie Lou Hamer says, nobody is free until everybody is free. So the theme is, it's nobody or everybody. We don't have a choice. It's one or the other. And let's be real. We're in Durham. In Durham, we're not perfect, but Durham is different. And Durham, when it comes to history, we're not new to this, baby. We are true to this. So let's teach it. Let's continue to be different. But we have to be very thoughtful about how we move through this. And so we want to think about some of the resources that we use. So I want to offer you all some resources, because you can tell people all day the importance of what this is. Like, what is decolonizing curriculum? Like, how do I get there? And what do I use? Because you have to be very, very thoughtful. We're educators, so we have to make sure that we have it laid out, because nobody can come for you if you have a good system in place. First, you have to make sure that you have built a community in your classroom, in that learning community. You have to have structured some things so that you all can have this honest conversation. It's not something that you can just step out into the first day of school. That's not how this works. I need to know you, and you need to know me, because I need to know if I can even trust you to ask these questions. I trust you that the answers you give me to these questions are even they're really the truth. And that comes with building community. So one of the things that I love in my learning community is that we have a mantra that we say at the start of every class. And I think I have the best job ever. I just want to say it. As a library teacher, I get to teach all the students in school. And it's so dope, because this mantra that they say, I'm not going to do the whole thing, even though I would love for you to hear it, because it's really dope. But a couple of things that they say is, what type of practice? Practice makes excellence. What do you always do? Step your game up. And then it's a couple more questions, but then it skips to, I'm creative, I am gifted, I am excited about my future. I am a leader, I am a scholar, I am valuable and worthy. I am greatness, and greatness follows me everywhere I go. I take my education seriously, because it is the most powerful weapon I have. My education will change the world. No one will stop me from achieving my goals. I am awesome. I'm going to graduate from high school. I'm going to graduate from NCCU, because if you know me, they don't have a choice. I am Durham's future, and I am growing. They say this every day. I wrote those words to them, and those words are for them from me, because they need to understand I care about you and I believe in you, and this is how we're going to start this and move forward. Because again, we understand the history that we bring with us. We have to understand the history. I know the history that comes with me. I never, had it been up to my high school counselor, wouldn't have even been here, because she said, oh, I don't think college is for you. I think you should just go ahead and get a job. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with the workforce development at all. But I knew that that's not what I wanted for myself. But it was her job as my educator to move me forward and to not stop me from the dreams that I had. And so I said all that to say, I need my kids to know I believe in you, whatever it is. And so because of that, now we've built this community, and we can have real talk conversations, and they can feel comfortable. If they don't know what I'm talking about, they can bring it to me. Their families, I need to have relationships with their families. And when I say families, it's important for us to use families and not parents or moms and dads. That's a part of decolonizing curriculum and abolitionist teaching as well, because we know that caregivers, that can encapsulate, I think that's the fancy word I want to use, that can encapsulate a lot of different people in your life that take care of you. So I have to build relationships with the caregivers in my students' life so that their families can trust me to have these really tough conversations that maybe they even had a chance to have with their student, with their child. And so I am really very, very, what's the way I want to say it? I'm very, very focused on relationships, because they can't just appear out of nowhere and then we start talking about these tough topics. Now, we've built relationships and we don't build them and then they're set. These things take time, because once these things take time, and they're going to keep evolving, because once the students and you start learning the real history, it's going to really have your mind just spinning, because like somebody taught me, and depending on the level that you're at, elementary, middle, higher ed, it's gonna have your mind spinning, because you're gonna think about, what was I taught and how wrong was this? Like, why would they teach me this? And so the kids are gonna grow, you're gonna grow and become someone that maybe you didn't think would be possible, but we have a good relationship so that while we are going through this learning process, and we're changing, we already know each other. And it's important, because being real, harm is going to happen in the community while you're learning these really tough topics. Harm is going to happen. And so that's why you have to understand we've built a culture, be that through capturing kids' hearts and you have a social contract, or whichever character development curriculum that your school uses, you have to have these things in place, because what is the restorative moment going to look like? So you've built this, you all understand, everybody's on the same-ish page. Now, how am I going to do this? Couple of resources that I love to use. I feel like I'm a poster child for Rethinking Schools, Zen Education Project, SNCC Digital Gateway, SNCC, SNCC Digital Gateway. And those three resources are kind of my favorite. Now, I will say that Instagram and Facebook can be some quite impressive resources as well. But I don't suggest you use those as your hardcore truth and your way, because those kids can see on social media and bring that right in and wonder. And then I ask you the question, like, I'm wondering, I saw this thing. So those three resources I mentioned are going to be important. Rethinking Schools has so many books that are written by educators who are rooted in the work of anti-racist education. And those resources are incredibly valuable. Then there's Zen Education Project. Zen Education Project is phenomenal, and they have a ton of free resources. Additionally, what I love about Zen Ed is on Monday nights, I don't remember when they start, but check out their website. But they have these Monday night truth-telling, teaching history online classes. I'm messing up the words, but you go to their website. These Monday classes are so incredible. And then you get into these breakout rooms with educators from all over, sometimes students. And my mind is blown every time. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta and then my list is long of all the things that I feel like I need to teach now. And you're getting so many ideas from so many educators. Their resources on there are so incredible. They have role play options, and there's the majority of them are things that you can adapt to lower elementary, higher elementary, middle, high school, higher ed, community. And then you have SNCC Digital Gateway, which is another free website, and it is incredible. They have some true artifacts on there, recordings, and they have some newspaper articles you can print. And that resource, I'm telling you, is amazing. I had my students, let me say this, I'm a very project-based teacher. I totally believe that sometimes you learn better when you're getting your hands dirty, or you're moving, you're using scissors, glue, magazines, all these things. And so what I will have my students do is on SNCC Digital Gateway, they have tons of people who are a part of the civil rights movement. And on that website, you can pull those names. And what I do is print the pictures of those people, put them around the room, and then I have the kids engage with them, be that building a magazine cover, or they'll have to create something that represents that time period. Another example, because I don't want to just tell you that this is important, I want to give you some examples of ways that you can actually bring this into your classroom. Another way is partnering with the Museum of Durham History. Just thought about that. It's so important. They have a traveling exhibit or traveling museum that I experienced for the first time in January of 2025, where they brought these retractable banners, and on both sides they had the history, different faces that have made incredible history in Durham. And what I had was I had someone make me what looked like a book review, and the kids had to choose one person, and they had to come up with an award they would give that person. They had to give a rating, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-star rating, 4-star rating, what have you. They had to write like 4 facts about them, where they were from, etc., and then color it. And it was so cool to watch their brains just move, but also just watching them walk around and look at the different exhibits, because now, it's 100 faces on there, 150, 100, I can't remember, but Museum of Durham History, definitely check them out. They're incredible and so incredibly supportive on there. Another thing that I love doing is financial literacy. So again, this is a huge, huge opportunity to talk about financial literacy, because when you think about gentrification, when you think about the ways that public education is under attack, financial literacy, money, is a lot. It helps kids understand how to follow money and how do we earn it, how do we use it, all of the things. So how I start is I have this long financial literacy unit, and it starts in January. In January, we look at the entrepreneurial history of Durham. We talk about Black Wall Street, 147. How did it actually get there? What does that mean? And then in February, we have Career Month, bringing in people from the community, because that's one way that you aren't the only one telling the story, because then kids see like, oh, so this includes a lot of people. Like, a lot of people understand how these narratives have been built and shaped. So then we bring in about 4 different careers every day in the month of February. And then in March, the students start writing their business plans. In not February. In April, they go into the Shark Tank, and then May, they actually open up their businesses, and it is quite impressive. And then at the end of May, they have to file their taxes. So it's a really cool unit, and the kids are all in. So now that I've said all of these things, a good teacher leaves you with some homework, right? So I have a homework assignment, a charge to the room, a charge to you as listeners. The first charge is to teachers. I want you to audit that curriculum. I want you to think about, what is that saying? I want you to audit it. Our principals, what are some ways that you're protecting your teachers, that you're looking out for what they are actually trying to do? Are you holding them down? Are you having their back? School district-wise, central office administrators, what are the policies that you're pushing and that you're encouraging? School board members, what are your votes looking like? Are they things that are centering our anti-racist education. And then we have our state and house, our county commissioners. Where's the money? Where are you putting your money? What are the expectations you're setting for this county? Then we look at our state house representatives and senators. What are your votes looking like? Are you in the communities that you represent? Are you in the schools that are in the communities that you're representing? So you know that you're truly carrying the people in our communities on your back as you're going to represent us. And then even our folks who go to DC, are you listening? Because I know that we have so many beautiful people in our community, and it takes everyone. This is a team effort to make sure that we are dismantling these systems of white supremacy that have been historically held up. And we must do all of this because, as Assata Shakur says, it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Thank you.